This day in Iowa history. So Professor Stein, there's a bunch of different ways that you can be called an Iowan. First of all, you can be born in Iowa.
Right.
Duh, you can be an Iowan. Or you can come to Iowa and then do some things and then just adopt Iowa as your own. And that's what we're talking about today, is somebody who's not from around here.
Absolutely right. Good morning to you both. And right there on the screen, an example of both. Somebody born in Iowa, somebody who has come here, and after all this time, I think we would probably call Lou an Iowan. Well, Nancy Hill was not born in Iowa, but she certainly did make her mark here. She was born actually in West Cambridge, Massachusetts in November of 1833. She served as an Army nurse during the Civil War, stationed at Washington's Armory Square Hospital. Now, that was an important site because it was within 75 miles of such bloody battles as those fought at Antietam, Chancellorsville, and the Battle of the Wilderness. The chief surgeon was so impressed with her work, he encouraged her to study medicine. So after the Civil War, she went to the University of Michigan. Why? Because it was the only medical school at that time to even accept women. She graduated second in her class. Wow. She was 41 years of age, and that's where her Iowa story began.
Which is already quite an accomplishment, but it's pretty amazing in today's times to think that there was only one medical institution that would accept women after the Civil War.
Absolutely right, and she made the most of that opportunity, Jackie, because Dr. Nancy Hill moved to Dubuque in 1875, so about a decade after the Civil War, and it was right after she graduated from medical school. And you're probably not surprised to learn, she was the first female doctor in the city of Dubuque, and one of fewer than a dozen women doctors in the entire state of Iowa at that time.
Wow.
She practiced medicine in Dubuque for nearly 40 years. Now, keep in mind, she got out of medical school at age 41.
Right.
Talk about dedication. And she specialized in obstetrics. Get this, by her own count, over those 40 years, she delivered 1,000 babies in Northeast Iowa.
Unreal. Now, she obviously quite devoted to her work. You mentioned 40 years of doing this and just as obviously delivering a baby. That was only the beginning of what's going on. And there's a lot that goes into raising a child, right?
Yeah, I mean, the doctor delivers the baby and usually that's it, but she was concerned with child care, Lou, and by 1896, she'd been in practice there for a quarter century, and she felt great concern for unwed mothers and the lack of care their babies receive. So Dr. Hill founded something called the Women's Rescue Society of Dubuque. She operated that home until her 80th birthday. People may not recognize that name, but I bet they recognize Hillcrest Family Services. That's what it's called now. And it serves tens of thousands of clients every single year with vital social services across the state of Iowa, not just in Dubuque. But that wasn't all. You'd think that'd be plenty for any one human, but Dr. Nancy Hill was also president of the Dubuque Women's Suffrage Association. Remember, women have not even had the right to vote in this country for a century yet. She was active in that role, and she stirred up a bit of controversy by calling out the Dubuque chapter of the DAR, the Daughters of the American Revolution. How in the world could the DAR be controversial? Well, Dr. Hill said they did not support suffrage strongly enough, saying they were too content to tell the glory of their ancestors instead of battling to gain those same principles of law for themselves.
That's pretty amazing that she had such a strong stance. And we're talking before World War I, correct? Like we're talking early part of the 20th century.
Absolutely right. She was certainly the first of her kind and was not limited to just practicing medicine. And because of that whole history, it is no surprise that Dr. Nancy Hill was ultimately inducted in the Iowa Women's Hall of Fame. That happened 70 years after her passing. She left us on this date in 1919, almost 100 years ago.
Yeah, what an amazing woman. What a great story.
Ahead of her time is what I would call her, and someone that really kind of forged the way for many of us now today, which is pretty incredible.
How about that? So a lot of facts that you threw at us there, Professor. If people want to go back and revisit some of those things and learn about Dr. Hill, how can they do so?
Sort of puts the rest of us to shame.
Yeah,
Right?
Feeling a little small right now.
Well, there's still time. There's still time. Look what she did by the time she was 80. We have a ways to go, but you can learn all about this and the other stories we've talked about at iowaalmanac.com, Twitter and Instagram as well, at Iowa Almanac.
There you go. Well, thank you very much, sir, and we will speak with you tomorrow morning.
Have a great day, guys.
Thank
Wonderful.
you. You too.